good stuff. We'll be talking about NRL Round 24 game by game. So Newcastle Gold Coast was the Thursday night game. Huge match in terms of finals. The Knights won by 1 point. I have to say it was a pretty low quality game. There was a lot at stake, and I think that might have lowered the quality because the intensity was high. There was a lot of pressure. No one really wanted to give an inch. So normally that results in great games, but in this situation, it wasn't the greatest game of footy. Newcastle just aren't playing good footy at the moment, and the Titans are really inconsistent, and unfortunately they didn't play great footy themselves. I was going for the Titans hard, thought they were going to win. Knights won by 1 point. Piercy still got it in terms of finishing off games, and the Knights sealed their spot in 7th, and the Titans now look an outside chance of finishing in the top 8. I'll talk about who I think is going to make the 8 in a little bit. But yeah, disappointing from the Titans. They're a team that's good enough to make finals, and the fact that the Sharks or Raiders, who haven't been playing good footy all year, who I would say the Titans have been better than for most of the year. If they miss out to finals on them, I think they'll be pretty filthy with themselves because I don't think they've made finals in a few years. I feel like they made one maybe 2018, 2017, can't remember. But yeah, so that was disappointing for the Titans, but good win from the Knights. We sort of don't get around them, but a win's a win, and they're just getting the job done in every game they play, and it's booked them as a spot in September, and who knows? Once you need a ticket to dance at the ball. Is that a saying? You need a ticket to win the lottery, something like that. They've given themselves a chance, is what I'm trying to say. That moves us into Friday afternoon / early game. Another game with huge top 8 implications. The Warriors up against Canberra, and this was a really, really good game of footy. The Warriors they play in this time slot almost every second week because of New Zealand time zone, but B, they make it really interesting. They make games good. All their games seem to come down to the last 5 minutes. You would not want to be a Warriors fan, but they got run over the top by Canberra, and the scoreline of 28-16 is flattering to the Canberra because they scored a try with the last play, and they'd scored a go-ahead try with 2 minutes left. So realistically, I think it was 18-16 with 5 minutes to go to Canberra or something like that. So, it was a really, really good game. Went right down to the wire. Ultimately, the Canberra Raiders sort of just won the game in the middle. I know Tarpany had a really good game, sort of testing my memory a little bit there. But Shan's at fullback, he made such a big difference. I remember Simonson was having a lot of trouble under the high ball, ended up injuring his quad, I believe, and he got taken off. Rapana went wing. Shans came on at fullback, and all of a sudden the game just switched for the Raiders, and that was really the turning point. Shans is an absolute freak, and although I've been critical of Ricky Stewart this year, and I think everyone should be, them almost missing out in finals is not good enough for that team who's, in a premiership window. I know they've lost their halfback and stuff this year, but the fact that they've missed Shans, I think, is not talked about enough. If Parra missed Gutho or something, there would be a lot of people saying, "Oh well, fair enough. They don't have their fullback," but Shans is that good for the Raiders, and I think he's definitely an underrated player and has a huge impact on that team. That's huge for the Raiders, and they're right in the mix for the 8. Unfortunately, they've got the Roosters this week. I think I'll get to the preview in a sec, so I won't worry too much about the finals implication, but that led to the most dramatic game of the season, the traditional rivalry, I guess you could say, the Roosters versus the Rabbitohs, East versus Souths. Souths won the game very convincingly. We thought they were going to win. The Roosters' injury toll was sort of at a peak this game. I don't think they've had more out all season. But unfortunately, the big headlines wasn't the actual football on the park. It was the Latrell incident. And I don't really want to go into it too much. It's now Wednesday. I'm recording this. It's almost a full week past it. I'm sure everyone's seen it. Everyone's got their own opinion, so I don't really feel the need to talk about it. He got 6 weeks, which I think is what he deserved. It's disappointing for everyone. I think South's really, he's really shot South in the foot. If I was Adam Reynolds or Dan Gagai, a leaving player, I'd be really pissed off right now, or Wayne Bennett if he leaves, because this looked like their best chance to win a final, especially the ensuing results of the Storm and the Seagulls later on in the weekend. And yeah, it was really disappointing. I felt really bad for the Roosters as well because they lose another player. But yeah, it was just really shit house from Latrell. And the fact that, like, I don't know, what disappointed me is, yes, he made a mistake. It was a really disgusting hit. He gets 6 weeks, all good. And I know he was emotional and he was like fired up, but after it, like, he was still losing the plot. I know the Roosters players were going after him, but like when he threw the ball down at Fletcher Baker, people saying he didn't hit him, but it's like, yeah, but even if you're like passionately throwing the ball down, you have time to see there's someone's head there. You can throw it a little bit further away, but yeah, that was just shit. It was pretty crazy, the reports that came out about Warrior Hargraves and Radley on the sideline lipping him off. That would have been crazy to see if that escalated further. All I can say is Roosters Rabbitohs next year could be very, very interesting, and that's definitely one to mark down the calendar. Especially if the Roosters have a full team by then, because that could be awesome. Hopefully, wonder when they'll put it. They usually play each other twice, so it'll be pretty early on in this tournament, in the season, you'd guess. But yeah, that's going to be pretty fiery. Wonder. Well, I'm pretty sure Manu's like made up with Latrell or something. But yeah, it's just poor from Latrell. Like, I did lose a bit of respect from in the Blues after the Origin. He said like, "Oh, they were talking about the Dane Gagai thing. He's like, oh, I don't respect the opposition." Which, for me, that's not the right attitude. I'm a sportsman. I've played at a fairly high level, and I'm not the most competitive of people, so that's probably why I'm not a professional sportsman. But I think you can still respect your opposition, and I think Latrell sort of needs to learn that balance between playing aggressively but still respecting them, because at the end of the day, they're just like human beings like everyone else. And I know he didn't mean to smash his face in, but fortunately, that's what he's done. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it at there. I thought Robbo's press conference was really powerful. I thought his comments about the bunker were all fair enough. They got fined $40,000, which, look, I don't know if I agree with it. As a podcast, the Hello Sport podcast I listened to mentioned, Rio Tinto got fined $50,000 for blowing up indigenous caves, and the Roosters get fined $40,000 for chatting shit about a bunker refereeing system, which is a bit of a gag, but yeah, well, unfortunately, that's just the rules, and they were willing to do it to take a stand, which I think is pretty honourable from the Roosters. And then that moves us into Saturday afternoon, which this actually turned out to be a good game of footy. I wasn't that excited for it, but the Dragons Cowboys, the Dragons looked like they were just going to grind over a win. And I actually tipped the Cowboys, and they came steaming home. I think it was the 15 minutes after half time. Could be a mistake in there, but they scored about 4 tries in 8 minutes or something. It was crazy. They just kept scoring long range efforts. Halem Lukey, he was cutting shapes on that edge. Hammer was flexing his pace all over the joint. And for a team that's coming third last, like, it was pretty positive showing, and fans could be buoyed by a performance like that. But yeah, really disappointing from the Dragons. They're giving opportunity to their youth, which is really important. They're an aging team, but yeah, they still look a long way off. Even though they're like a win outside the gate, they look a long way off. Then that led us into Cronulla-Brisbane. This was just a game where Cronulla just had to tick the box. Didn't matter how they played. They just had to get the job done. Brisbane are a tricky team at the moment to play, and the Sharkies got the job done. Brisbane, valiant effort, but the Sharkies too good. Won it by 8 points. Milf playing well again, which is good to see. Brisbane are actually a really exciting team. So fair play to Kevy, he sort of changed that. They were a really, really boring team to watch last year. I know they were worse, but the brand of footy they're playing right now is not bad to watch at all. Then that led us into the shock of the round, shock of the season, you'd have to say. Para in god-awful form, beating the Storm. Look, no one really saw this coming. People will say they were due and stuff like that, but still no one thought... Like, I thought it was going to be close. I predicted Para to cover the line, but never thought in my wildest dreams they would win. I'll talk about it a little bit in my power rankings, but I do believe people are going a little bit hot on Para. Like, I don't want to tarnish their victory, but I don't think it's like putting them right up in the premiership picture yet for me. I think Melbourne played poorly, and Parramatta are a team. If you play poorly against them, they'll punish you because they just grind up that middle. But yeah, in finals, you'd expect everyone to be playing better footy than what Melbourne did. So I don't think Para right in the premiership picture yet, but it was a positive sign, and they fought really hard and won that middle battle, which they could do against a lot of teams in the top who may not have the greatest packs going round. Then that led us into Manly Canterbury on the Sunday arvo. This was actually a good game. I think once again the scoreline was flattering in the favour of Manly, 36-18. The big news coming out of this was sort of like the hair pull penalty. I think it was overrated, but I think, like, I don't know. I don't really care if it's a penalty or not. It's a dog act, but yeah. I listened to Graham Annesley on Monday, and what he said was kind of true about it. Like, it is a penalty. It's in the rules, but. And then Ruben Garrick broke the record, first player to ever score 20 tries, kick 100 goals, and he's also 8 short of the regular season record for points scored. So that's one to look out for this round. That's a very impressive record. Sorry, back to that Melbourne game. I sort of jumped over that a bit quick. Bellamy, look, unfortunately, they've sort of left it a bit late, but they really haven't found the perfect mix since they've all been back, the playmakers. I think Grant and Cheese starting didn't work. I don't think they can do that moving forward. And yeah, Hines off the bench. It's going to be an interesting one to see what he does next week. Not this week, because this week he's resting players. But yeah, he's got some really, really big choices to make. I've heard calls saying Nico Hines should start. Papenhuyzen should be out of the team completely. I've heard calls saying Hines should drop off the bench. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Bellamy does, because right now it's not working for him, but he's the best coach, one of the best coaches of all time for a reason. And then finally, Penrith versus the Tigers. Finish off the round better than I thought. I was expecting a 30-point loss. We lost by 14 points. I'm a Tigers fan, if you didn't know. And it was a good effort. Fought hard, which I haven't been able to say on many occasions this year. Penrith too classy in the end. Didn't think they played that great. Nathan Cleary had a lot of errors in him. But yeah, Penrith too big for us, which is something we've got to improve. We have some big middles now, but still on the edge. We really struggle to contain big back rowers like Kikau. And that's going to be something to, like Tupanul, we've struggled with him in the past as well. So that's something we've got to address. And yeah, there was positive signs there for the Tigers, but like losing to Penrith by 14, you'll take that any day. But yeah, Penrith, one of the few teams to have a somewhat convincing win over the weekend, which was good for them.
It's a miracle! Oh yeah! What about that one? No! Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.